Hey guys, so my specialty, as I said, is how to succeed in product development. So most of you have some product or service or whatever, however you look at it. And of course, having a great pitch is good, but in the long run, you need to have a fantastic product or service. So that's what we're going to talk about. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give a couple of examples and highlight one thing that I think is really critical that you all focus on. Let's start with a case. This is a little startup in London that used these principles, so that I'm going to teach you. So there's a company called Gilb, and they make toilets. Their idea was to have a toilet for third world countries that don't use water because they have lack of water. And similar to one of your ideas, it produces energy, not out of the plastic, but out of the output. All right? So then in the village, they could like charge their mobile phones and maybe have a hot shower from the energy of the output. Yeah, that's just a picture of us at the early stage. So these are really the two people from the project. Now one thing we focused on, which I think is really critical for everybody of you to understand, is who are your stakeholders, not just the user or something like that, but make a map of a set of stakeholders. So this is their stakeholder. They have a little tool that look kind of fancy, but focus in on this a little bit. So here are some of their stakeholders that they identified, and here are some of the values that they try to deliver to those stakeholders. Now, a lot of startups are too focused on their idea, their technical idea. They think the idea itself is so great, you know, that everybody will be so excited once you deliver this technology. And the reality is, for most people, that's not true. Nobody will care at all about your new, whether it is new, whether it is totally inventive. Nobody really cares. What do you think they care about? Value, right? How much better does their life get, right? So whoever they are, whoever the stakeholders are, if you can improve somebody's life, somebody's work situation, somebody's private situation, you might have a chance. Right? If your idea is completely new and fancy and AI and everything, but it doesn't really improve specific people's lives, I don't think you have a chance. Okay? Even if it does, it's hard, right? So here, they were actually, it says Gates there. There was a competition. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they were going to give $1 million to whoever had the best product. And that's not with ownership, right? You get that million as a present. So a lot of startups all over the world was, of course, trying to get this money. These guys, because they use these ideas of really focusing on the values, they put that into the pitch document to the Gates Foundation. So they look at, okay, the Gates Foundation, what values are they after? And then what they did was they quantified those values. They specified it and quantified it. So here's one example of their document that went to the Gates Foundation, where what they did was they took one value, sanitation, and really to be super clear on that value, they don't say just, oh, it should be really clean or something like that. They put a lot of effort to quantify that value, to see, you know, what is the variation, so they can really pinpoint how good is it today and how much better is it going to be in the future. This is the value we're going to deliver. So in their case, you know, at the area, no waste was collected, and they wanted to collect 75%. No waste is collected. I think they pretty much did it in the bushes, right? In the villages in Madagascar. So Then, I'm not going to go through this, but once you have a set of values, you can start prioritizing your set of ideas for how you're going to go forward. And you can do, because the values are quantified, you can try to quantify some of your technical ideas. It's a little bit advanced for these 20 minutes, so we'll just go through, but they actually did this. Now, what I want to show you is if you, oops, if we now go to the new website and we go Gates and Lou Watt, a little Google search, and here, my friends. So, you probably guessed already, but basically, here you have Lou Watt from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they got the $1 million. Do you read it in the back? So they got this because of what? Now there were I don't know exactly the number, but there were hundreds of people, maybe thousands, trying to get this money. Right? There was one winner, and they got it because they were so focused on showing very clearly what value this would give for the Gates Foundation, but also what value it would give for the people in Madagascar and the other stakeholders. So this is what I highly recommend that you do if you want to have a successful product, is that you really focus who are the stakeholders and what improvements, what value improvements can you give to those stakeholders. And I would also go as far as quantify that value and say we're here and we want to be at a different level. Okay. I'm looking at the timing. Okay. We have I think we just have time to see very quickly. This is after the million. What I want you to see is that it almost looks like he's rating a software product. You know, it's like, I'm very happy with it. It was very easy to use. It was not very smelly, right? Because they really focused on these values. So they didn't just build a toilet and put it there. They made sure it didn't smell. You know, it produced great value with the energy and etc. etc. Okay. Outstanding user experience. Does that sound like a toilet? All right. Now, according to reports on succeeding in product development, it turns out that almost all projects fail to some degree, right? Either completely or they're just way over budget, way delayed. It's just more difficult than most people think. So we're talking about like 5% or something that actually succeed, and then there are like 45% that kind of manage, but they kind of fail, they're kind of delayed, and then just a few percent that actually, just a few percent that succeed, and the majority has some kind of failure. So I think that, and I have kind of a lot of experience, I'm showing you a little bit here, that to succeed, the number one skill that I recommend in product development is to be able to find, specify, quantify, and finally you need to be able to deliver improvements to a set of stakeholders. Right? If you get this and you focus all your attention on this, you will get really far. And what I'm not going to talk about, in addition to that, you really need to master the skill of selling. Whether you like it or not, you need to learn how to sell, but that's outside of this. But if you have a great product and you know how to sell, chances are you can go really far. Anyone bought a Tesla? Yeah? Yeah? All right. So I also drive around in one from time to time. But look here, if you go to Tesla's website now and you want a Tesla S, you can get two options. And one costs 92,000 euros and the other 124,000 euros. And the only real difference is what? What? Acceleration, right? So actually this more expensive, this 30,000 euro car, more expensive version, actually doesn't go as far, right? The range is less. So you only pay for 1.6 seconds faster. And that costs 30,000 euro. This is how important values are. If you don't have this idea, you're just going to build a car, you don't say how fast, you're not understanding the value concept. So here, if you graph it, what happens is as you go towards perfection, the cost goes up, right? As you get better and better, you need to be better. You need to be better than your competitors, better than the product you're going to replace, sort of. I have a Leaf. It costs 18,000, and this 1.6 second is worth more than my Leaf, right? That's, you really, if you grasp this, you really get far. And as you go closer, if you want to go a little faster, you have to pay 7 Teslas of the fastest one to get a little bit faster. Grasp this, and you have a good chance. Now, here, this is Sergio. He went to one of my classes and trained to do this. Now, he got the job to do the self-check-in of luggage at Gilb airport. Okay, that was his job. It's not a startup. He had a little company, but they sent out a bid and people bid on it. Now the bid had a 14-step process. This is the actual step to do the self-check-in, and he won the contract. Right? Then he went to the course, and we said, well, nobody cares about the solution. What values are you going to give to the people that check in and the other stakeholders? So, we have to go from the solution, this diagram with 14 steps that he was supposed to build, and ask, well, what value can you actually build? And so we have this luggage check-in time as an example, or actually the key value that he went for. So you have the check-in system. That's sort of a given. That's not the difficult part, to make a self-checking system. But how good can you make it? So I asked him, well, are there any competitive other systems like this, where they do self-check-in? And he said, yes, at the Munich airport. They have also a luggage check-in at the time when he built this. So, and I fly all over the world teaching how to succeed. So I happened to fly to Munich, I think almost the next week after talking to him. So I said, okay, he forgot about the solution, focused on the value, and we looked at seconds to do the check-in. How many seconds do you have to spend to check in your luggage? Very, very specific, very detailed value, sort of. Now here we are at the Munich airport. This is me with my little spy camera. They don't like filming at the airport. Feeling a little strange. But, this is a self-checking. This is a 5-minute version. It's the same functions, almost. It's a little bit different. And we don't have time to go through this, but, it takes a while. And actually it looks like the lady with the pink jacket is gone, but she's actually just... So that's the Munich system. So he said it took about 5 minutes to do that. All right. So then I said, forget about the solution, the 14 steps. What would be great value? And he said, well, what about 5 seconds? So we set the goal for the project to do this self-check-in in 5 seconds. Right? Very concrete. Take self-checking, moving from, for instance, 5 minutes in the Munich system to Oslo, 5 seconds. This is true value to real people. So here we are in Oslo, me again with a spy camera, and we say, forget this. Let's try to find a solution. He found a solution with 2 steps that took about 5 seconds. So, 1 step, and you can count the seconds, and 2 steps.
Yeah, but on the first one you have to check in.
That's yeah. It's a little bit. It's true what you're saying. There's a combination actually. So at the Munich, you can, if you already have your checked in, you don't, right? So most people actually check in on the app these days.
Oh.
And at the Oslo airport, it's divided in 2. So you do one thing at one station and another at this station, and it's much smarter as far as flow goes. You don't get these lines that you saw at the Munich airport. So there are some differences, and I'm simplifying a little bit, you know, for the short presentation. But it's basically day and night. But what he was paid to do was 14 steps. Not those 2 steps. 14, there was like I showed you the diagram, it's a real diagram from the real contract with 14 steps. If he had delivered that, the airport would have been at least happy enough that they had to pay, because that was the contract, and then everybody would be in line. Yes, except,
Okay.
let's do the questions afterwards. I'm pretty much done. Okay, so see, I don't have the time. Yeah. Okay. So now, as you see, everyone here probably flies through the airport. You can try it, and it's just very, very easy, and it takes just a few seconds. Now I have a video I'm not going to show from the Oslo airport, but what they're pointing out in that video is because it is so quick to do the check-in, they can handle many more passengers, and they start, you know, doing the math. And it turns out, wow, that's a lot more passengers per hour. And what happens is they go shopping. Instead of standing in line, they go shopping. So that's another value which is really critical for the airport. And it goes on to say, actually, they didn't have to make another terminal because of this. Yeah, so it's on, you could yeah, if you're interested, I have a little YouTube video where they go and from official video from the Oslo airport and say we didn't have, you know, we saved having to build another terminal. So that's the saving that builds up from this system, you know, to thousands of passengers every day, right? So it's huge, huge benefit. You find that video on the link like that. So I think that is my 20 minutes. Yeah, to just highlight, to succeed in your products, I mean, you have many great ideas, but to succeed it's just really hard. There are so many obstacles, there are so many competitors. How do you become better than them? How do you truly succeed? I believe you need to understand who your stakeholders are and what values you're going to improve for them, and go beyond just your customer. Right? Look at, identify many different, maybe 10, maybe 30 different stakeholders, and ask, well, if you're a stakeholder, you know, what value would you like to improve? And make sure you pinpoint it. You know, with a like a past, like they're at this level, we can do it 5 minutes better. You know, would that be interesting for you? Yes. And I am done, and I'm open for questions, and you will get the first one.
Out of curiosity, do you remember any of the steps that he could skip?
Yeah, well, actually we could go, because the steps are real, and they are sort of here. Let's see. Yeah, so we could just start reading. So all kind of things here. It's like there's all kinds of things, like security things. You know, do you have this and that in the luggage? You know, are you going to this or that country? There could be all kinds of things that you could add, right? It's afterwards it looks like, well, it's obvious, right? You put it on and scan it. Right? Well, there could be like, you know, press to weigh the luggage. Right? So it's like everything is built into the system. So it weighs it, it does this, it does that, it just does everything. And when you look at it now, it's obvious. Like why would you have anything else? And he's actually very clear that the actual ticket check-in box, you know, like you were saying, there's another place where you actually check in. If he were to design that, he would simplify it 10 times. right? So it's fairly simple today. I use it quite a lot. You go there and you go Norwegian. Why would you have to click Norwegian? You're supposed to scan your passport or ticket. Why couldn't it find that you are going with Norwegian? Right? And it goes on like that. You can start removing like 90% of the steps. You know, why couldn't you just go passport and out comes your boarding pass? You know, why wouldn't that be the solution?
I flew a lot through lots of different airports in the world.
Yeah.
One thing that blew my mind is Oslo. You don't need your passport to get your ticket to go through the gates. That's
Right.
That's the only airport that you do not need your passport to go through everything.
Yep.
Any other airport, for security reason, they will check who you are, and you have extra security,
Yeah.
right? And the Scandinavian airport, and much like they decrease, they don't have that much security.
Right.
So that's also one faster thing to
Yep.
go through.
Yep.
You compare, you try to bring that to Israel, I tell you, and that will not happen.
Yeah.
That will not happen.
And they're stuck in their bureaucracies and processes. So
Norway, I'm trust.
How were they with cutting, government, they're very right, in the proposal, you have to fix everything. How were they with like cutting the steps, or did those steps just happen in the back? How were they able to convince them that it's okay not to do so?
yeah, I'm not sure about the regulations.
Yeah.
So he did this. I just guided him, like saying you need to focus on the value. You need to go from. Actually, the process was he decided 5 seconds, and then he said and we said no, no and. If you can do this in 5 seconds, you don't need. You're good. You're gonna be a winner.
Yeah.
Say yeah, but no, nothing else. And then actually the guys who had written this specification, they had some issues. They felt a little overrun.
Yeah.
That was the feedback. I didn't get a feedback from him for regulations,
Yeah.
but that those guys that had written the requirements for the project from Gardermoens airport side,
Yeah.
they felt a little over,
Yeah.
bulldozed a little. So he had some issues with that.
I can imagine,
But
yes.
what can they say, right?
So they can decide not to pay them if they don't feel like they.
Yeah.
If
No, it's supposed to
they
be
didn't, like,
14 steps.
Well, yeah,
It's supposed
well,
to be
like, you know,
14 steps. You
I'm
want
thinking,
2
like,
steps.
if I
This
read-
is
I've
too
written-
fast.
I've written RFPs before in the past, and like you're expecting something from a client, and then they decide to either take it one way and skip a step that you think is important, like
Yeah.
whether or not you check your bag or whatever. Then that could be,
Yeah.
you can get kind of annoyed at that. But
Yeah.
I guess you have to work very closely with them.
Yeah.
during the
He
process.
works closely with it.
Yeah.
He also designed the whole system for the afterwards. After you check in the luggage, or how it goes to the planes. It's just
Has there been any lost property during this execution?
lost property.
Yeah, lost baggage.
I'm sure, but I have no idea on how it relates to this. I don't think it's not an issue with the machine, like because of the machine.
Yeah.
Don't worry so much about his system.
Yeah.
You think about your system and think about,
Oh.
who are my stakeholders and how can I be even clearer on what value I'm going to give to these guys? And is it huge value to many people? Then maybe you have a good product idea, right? And be super, how can I quantify my values? These are just 2 examples. I have many. I have so many examples because I teach this all over the world all the time. So it really is extremely powerful in succeeding in your project. I just pulled out 2 examples before I came here. So don't worry too much about his system. Worry about your system, who are your stakeholders, and what value can you give to them. And I think all of you, in your pitches, you had some values. I think all of you should be clear about it. All of you should pinpoint it more and focus on that value. But you all had value ideas in your pitches, right? Just, in my book, be 10 times stronger on that value part. Yeah.
Could we cut the process even shorter by adding a person to pick up your luggage at the hotel you're staying at, so you don't have to do anything about it?
Why not? Yeah.
Probably.
What you described, it seems to me like you basically create a sort of algorithm. You create a sort of physical algorithm that accelerates all the process. So it's some way this is an example that we can apply to our product, to our service findings. Yeah, what we want to give added value for our stakeholder.
Yeah.
And creating the best algorithm to reach that.
It's technical. You know what I wrote on your pitch? It's like, go more away from the technical idea. And that's how you think. But that's how you think. There's nothing wrong in that. But when you present to others, don't present the algorithm. Present the value that they're going to get. Right? And then, of course, maybe you need some really smart algorithms in your system. And we need smart people for that. But again, in your questions, you go back to the you're looking at it from your point of view, which is healthy, I guess. So the technical, mathematical point of view. Yeah, for me, it's not, for where I'm standing, it's not an algorithm. But to create this, I'm sure there are algorithms, but for the point here is have the outcome clear. And even though I say quantify, I don't mean mathematical algorithms. I just mean you use numbers as a language. You say, hey, right now we're doing nothing, and the goal is we want to go to 75%. There's not so much of an algorithm. It's more like this is the outcome we're expecting and trying to achieve. Yes?
Is there a really good online tool to kind of like organize this work? To like you put in your values?
Yeah, we have. And I mean, we have a tool. For most people, it's like too much, especially if you haven't learned it. So what we do have is we teach people how to do this. This is a better way. So I'm not here to sell my services, but he is asking. So if you go to Gilb.com, for instance, we have an online course, which is the easiest way in. The cheapest is some free, even a free book or some cheap books. But the best way is probably, there's an online, it's called a ValueFirst online course. And we have public courses and in-house courses around the world right now, not in Norway. But maybe we will have, but right now not. But if you want to go to Göteborg or London or Amsterdam or Munich, we have courses. Yeah. But there's an online course which is really good.
I have a quick question.
And we have a tool. It's called Needs and Means. And it's a tool that if you just start using the tool without really understanding the process, you're going to be a little lost. Because once we start going, we go a little deeper. It's a little bit simplified to make it easy to understand in 20 minutes. Yes, sir?
When we're going back to the value creation part, when you explained it with the cars, can we go back to the cars slide?
Which slide?
I think somewhere we were comparing with Leaf and Tesla.
Oh, okay.
In this perspective, actually, we are targeting, when you explain this for the part. So there are a lot of elements involved in value creation for every individual products. So how can we evaluate that particular point in value creation when we're entering the market?
How could you
evaluate?
Okay, so I'm not sure. Let me try with an answer. What I'm trying to point out here is that people are really willing to pay a lot. That's a lot too, right? Yeah. For value improvements. Okay? Now a car, how much does a car cost? It costs from 0 or 1000 kroner, something like this, to millions, right? But they're still cars. They do the same thing. A car takes you from A to B on public road, and you can get them for 1,000 and you can get them for 1,000,000. Right? So the difference is what? That some are faster, some are more comfortable, some are more reliable, right? So that's why you don't just get the cheapest car, because you want reliability, you want comfort, you want style, you want speed, whatever you want. That's what people are paying for. So what you have to do is the function, what your system does, it doesn't make you competitive. Like all of you started explaining what your system should do, and then you were weak on the values. You said a little bit about the values. But what your system will do, what your service will do, that's already done. People do wedding planning with or without your tool, right? I just remember wedding planning, right? So people do wedding planning. They don't need you. Now, they can use you if you can help them a lot. What is that a lot? That's where you compete. Now, so what new technology sometimes can do, like electric cars, even this is electric, right? This is half electric. So what can happen is you can suddenly move much better on a value with new technology, where with old technology, maybe it was clumsy and expensive, and some new technology, AI, something comes in, and you're able to suddenly produce lots of value for not a lot of effort, and the old companies are stuck with their old technologies. So this, you can get a competitive advantage as a small startup. Right? So, yeah, we're time?
Yeah, looks like we're out of time.
So that's what I'm trying to point out here. And that's what you need to worry about. You can't go, if you want to make a product like that, you need funding. So make sure you hit the right place, but understand you are trying to push that. Okay, so respect of time. Thank you.